guys, how are we doing? Thank you, Jade, for the introduction. I got the pleasure just then of sitting in on the women's session, and I was kind of tuning in and got some awesome tips. Thank you. Who here is in business? Who here considers themselves to be an entrepreneur? And who here feels like they are pulled to do something bigger in the world, like to make a real change? Put your hand up high. Bali's a pretty cool place for that. It tends to attract that energy, right? And I thought in the context of what we're talking about, and considering I've only got 10 minutes and I'm just free-flowing, I figure maybe what might be useful is I give you some tips around how you can, as Jade said, clear your plate of the lowest value activities so that you can focus on those higher value activities so you can get on with the job of changing the world. So, a bit of background. I've been an entrepreneur since I was 8 years old. I had my first business cleaning boats, and I've never really known anything since. However, as a young person, it was driven out of fear, and it was driven out of a lack, and I was trying to fill a void, and I did that for my whole life. And it's really only been in the last few years that I've really kind of figured out and dropped into how I can impact the world instead of just building businesses because it's all I know. So I run a company called The Exponential. We're an outsourcing company, so we've got about 160 staff in the Philippines. And then on top of that, I'm on the board and an advisor for 5 other companies, and that's the part that I really love. That's the strategic planning, doing numbers, projections. I really know how to help businesses to scale. And through this journey, I've worked in the last 6 years in the outsourcing space with around 600 businesses. And I now only work with 35 or so. I've figured out it's not a good idea to try to work with everybody. Who here gets caught in that trap, trying to do everything for everybody? I'll tell you right now, it does not fucking work. So through that journey of working with so many businesses, I have seen some patterns at all levels. And let me tell you the first thing that I've seen. The first thing is nobody at any stage of the game has their shit figured out. Nobody. I've brushed shoulders with people doing billions of dollars, hundreds of millions of dollars, and they all deal with the same shit that we deal with. We all have it. And the reason I want to mention that is just because as entrepreneurs, we think that there's this place to get to. We think there's this like nirvana or this place to reach. It's like we're going to make this amount of money and then everything's going to drop in. Everything's going to fall into place. It doesn't happen, never happens, because this thing called life is just a journey. And there's ups and downs, and as you expand and the business scales, you will create all sorts of new problems for yourself, just on a different scale. But there is one thing that remains true, which I could probably share with you today in the limited time I've got, is all of us as entrepreneurs, we all deal with getting caught up in menial activities, getting stuck in the mud of doing shit that we shouldn't be doing. Sometimes it's because we don't have a choice, or we feel like we don't have a choice. We don't have staff, we don't have resources. And sometimes it's because we're holding on to it because we feel like nobody else can do it better. Does anybody feel like that? Like there's things in your business that nobody else can do as well as you. All right, well, I'm going to call you on that in just a second. The thing is this. Just imagine for the next year, every 3 months, every quarter for the next 3 months, you were to clear your plate of 20% of the lowest value activities, right? Doesn't sound like such a hard feat, right? You do that every 3 months. By the end of the year, you've unloaded 80%. So in theory, according to the 80-20 rule, you are left with the top 20%, right? Now imagine you do that again the next year, right? You're then left with 4%. You do it for another year, you're then left with 0.8%. Now if you think of anybody who's ever built anything big in business, that's all they've really fucking done. And along the way, they've found talent, they've found managers, they've found people to put people in place, they've found them to run the organization. But there are things that stop us, especially in the early stages, that really thwart us to getting to these certain tipping points. And who here, just a show of hands, who here's got a business but under 5 staff? Just themselves or under 5? All right, so the majority. Who here is more than 5? Okay, anyone more than 25? Cool. All right, so now I know how to speak to everybody. And this is the trap that I fell into as an entrepreneur, is that I couldn't scale. And it took me a long, long time to figure out that the common denominator was me. And the reason I started an outsourcing company is because I failed at it for many, many years, right? And I just wanted to nail it, right? And I've learned some things along the way. So I'll give you a couple of insights. Now, if you were to clear your plate of the 20%, right? That's a very useful exercise to do. And you should be looking at that at every stage of the journey. Like, you should be looking at that all of the time. Now, there is a bet that you have to take as an entrepreneur at a certain point. Now, it's hard when you're just making money, right? It's hard because you've got to take money out of your pocket and you're used to a certain lifestyle. But you've got to take money out of your pocket to now feed somebody else. It's not such an easy thing to do. But you have to bite the bullet at some stage. There is a bet that you have to take on yourself. Now, the thing is, it's not just about putting the staff in place so you can get more shit done. It's the bet on yourself that you have to take. If you're not willing to take that bet on yourself, get a fucking job. That's the facts. You shouldn't be an entrepreneur. You've got to make a decision for yourself what size of business you want to have. If you want to have a business bigger than 12 staff, you're going to play a very different game. So decide for yourself very early, do you just want to keep it small, keep it easy, keep it free-flowing? Because a small business will have that startup energy, right? It's easy to free-flow, to wing it. You can get away with no systems, and you can pretty much do that ongoing for a long time. But if you want to go above 5 staff, then all of a sudden you're going to need to start putting systems in place, and the dynamics of what you do and the people around you will start to change. So probably the number one thing I can give you today as a tip, right, is to show you the best way to clear your plate. Does that sound useful to you? Like, what are those 20% that you could clear your plate of? All right, so if you were to think that there's 3 categories, right? 3 categories of tasks that exist in your business, what you do day to day, week to week. Now, the last category is, this is only things that you can do, right? There are certain things that you do in your business that only you can do and only you should do right now. Now, these are the high value activities. You should be picking up the phone, calling people to generate new business. You should not be giving that away. You should not be trying to put people in place to do that under 5 staff. That should be you. I can tell you that right now, having worked with a lot of businesses. You should be focused on that. So what are the things that only you should be doing? Right? That's one category. Write that down. Next category, the first one. What are the things that you know for sure you can give away? You can outsource, put a staff in place. Like, what's really the low-hanging fruit? And I guarantee if you look at it, there is 20% of low-hanging fruit. If you were to deconstruct what you do, then you will come up with the answers to that. Now, if you want to scale a business, and this is not for everybody, at some point you're going to have to deconstruct the business. You need to put codes in the business so that you can put people in place. So if you have the thought to yourself that you want to grow a business, this is a useful mindset to have right from the get-go, to understand what's happening in your business. So this first category is, what is the low-hanging fruit, right? That's the first one to identify. The second category is, what are the things that you're not sure about? Maybe I could outsource this. Maybe I could give this away, but I'm not quite sure because I haven't found somebody who could do that well enough, right? Just start with this. Give that away. Just do that. Simple as that. Because what that does is it clears the plate. Then the idea is you fill the plate with higher value activities. And that's all you need to do to grow a business. It's not that hard. But finding the right talent, like finding the people to come in, that's another situation, right? But the people exist. I'll tell you one more thing. There is a reason why you hold on to certain activities here. And I'm going to break it down why there's some things that you shouldn't. If you were to place a value on yourself hourly, not that I believe in charging out hourly, but if you were going to, what would you say? Give me an answer. How much are you worth per hour, sir?
Infinite.
Well, give me a price tag.
5K.
5K an hour. Good answer. Brent, how much are you worth per hour? 1,500. How much per hour?
Honestly, I have no idea.
Okay, good answer. How much per hour?
I said 5K.
Okay, 5K per hour. All right, so you guys all get the picture, right? You're worth a lot of money. Your time is worth money. It's not just, it's a lifetime of accumulated experience that gives you the right to say, I'm worth 5K an hour, right? But you're doing things here that you could pay somebody $12 an hour, $20 an hour to do. Why are you holding on to that? Now, here's the thing. I hope this drops in. That's the value that you just placed on yourself. That's why you can't sell yourself at 5K an hour. Because you're valuing yourself at $12 an hour, $7 an hour, $3 an hour. Whatever it costs you to fill that. Just something to think about.
I forgot I wasn't mic'd up. Wow, you are amazing. We got a question already? My mic runners, the question outs. You mic run yourself, thank you.
Monty, question. So we get rid of this stuff that's low value. How do we find and how do we inspire and manage those people to fill those roles? Because I can know the things that I shouldn't be doing, but I put someone in and they last a month or 2 months and then, I feel like I'm paying them too much and they're not doing enough and, help us out there.
Okay, a couple of points. One is, how are you approaching trying to get these people to do work? First thing is, if you approach it from the point of view that you're just trying to get shit done, which is how most people work with freelancers, etc., I don't work with freelancers. It's just I don't work with freelancers because I need long-term permanent assets in my business to scale with me, right? Now, I'm not saying don't use freelancers, but it's very difficult to have freelancers. Now, you can hire people from the Philippines, right? And they work from home, but they're not employed by you. They work from home. They're freelancers, right? So how are you approaching it? So if you're giving somebody 5 hours here, 10 hours there, etc., they're not bought into your business, man. Like, they're looking for greener grass all the time. They've got 17 other clients. That's just one thing. As soon as you have the capacity to hire people permanently, I'm telling you, just do it. The second part of that is
does it need to be full-time or even part-time permanent?
Part-time, and give them set conditions. I know we're all like digital nomads and we love free flow and we love all this shit. They don't like it. They need structure. And the business needs structure. You cannot scale a business without structure, as much as you want to free flow, right? You can free flow yourself, but the business needs structure. That's how you actually free flow yourself. So you need to be really strong in your culture, your brand pillars, everything. That needs to be tight. Like, you need to know that stuff because that's what's going to have people buy in to want to work with you. So it's not just about, paint all over me. It's not just about giving people work and trying to fill the void of like shit needs to get done. You need to approach it from, I'm going to hire long-term permanent talent and I'm going to nurture them to be an asset in the business. That's how to approach it. So that is probably the most common thing where I see, especially in the startup phase, right? Because you don't have that much money. But as soon as you can afford it, and even if you can just take a little tip out of that and how you approach it, and let people buy into, like, this is what we're doing, like, we're building this great thing, and, I'll start you out at 10 hours a week now, right? But I promise, like, I'm going to do my best to get you up to 20 hours, and then 40 hours inside 2 months. Are you in? Like, let them buy into that, right? And booby trap yourself to make that happen. But yeah, there's a bet that you have to place, right? And you got to pay money, but that's business, man. Do you guys know this, that airlines run at under 1% profit? You guys know this? The game is different when you scale a business. When you're on your own or a micro business under 5 staff, you can make so much money. But it's a different game scaling. It's that you can still make money scaling, there's no question. But it's a different game. It's a different game.
Thank you.
Does that answer your question?
Oh, yeah, I want to ask a lot more questions, but I'll
Okay.
grab you later.
Right.
Thank you. In your experience, what have you found have been common threads where you've been able to do more with less? What are those high-value tasks that you personally can do more with less? And then outsourcing, what are the things that you've seen have a dramatic impact on smaller businesses?
The first thing is like organizing yourself. And I know it seems like it's a bit of a, like, why would I spend money on paying somebody to help me stay organized? Like, that doesn't seem like the logical first thing. But I don't know if you guys, I don't know if you guys have ever counted the amount of time that you spend on emails every day, right? I can pretty well take a guess, it's ridiculous. Like, I check my emails once a day, everything's sorted, you know, like most of my emails are handled. Now, it's not just about getting the emails sorted, it's about giving me the mental capacity and the space just to focus on the higher value activities. That's the bigger thing. So if I was going to answer your question, like what's the first thing, like that's going to give you the most like bang for your buck, and it seems illogical because you're going to spend money on something that's not going to give you a direct return on investment. Like most people think, all right, I'm going to spend money on marketing because it's going to give me a return on investment. No, you should be doing the marketing, right? Free yourself up the time to do that.
So
here's the thing, like nobody's going to sell your business as well as you can. I'm telling you right now. If you think you're going to bring other people into the business to sell in the early stages, and that's what you think is going to drive the business forward, move away from that thought.
So you outsource your inbox?
100%, yeah. 100%. I get messages on WhatsApp that say, hey, Monty, you need to follow this up. Yeah.
So I recognize for me, a lot of the stuff that doesn't monetize for my business is also the work that I need to do to feel good about like myself and my service to the world. Mm-hmm. So I have clients, classes, things that I go do that after the driving, the gas, all that stuff, I'm like, I know that this isn't helping me, you know, level up this business that I want to grow. But I also know from like a standpoint of karma and like my impact on the world, like that's the quantifiable like change I can make. And then there's 7 days in a week and I run out of time. And so I'm trying to find the balance of building this business and giving up some of the things, but like some of the things like, you know, going to do this work is like something that I feel like I need to do. And then I know I'm not getting back to emails. I know I'm not like doing the marketing, doing that stuff. And then I've outsourced that and it's like not good because I know I should be like the 3 that you're talking about. Like I know like I should be doing that. And I'm wondering what's your advice or maybe, yeah, like where did you find maybe that balance for yourself or a resource that you liked?
Yeah, I mean, without knowing exactly what you do and kind of digging deep into it, I mean, first of all, I would challenge you on the things that you're doing maybe not being the best use of your time. Like if you really want to think about it, like what are you aiming for? Like what's the biggest impact? Like the highest level impact. And if you were to look at that, right, is what you are doing, what you're saying you're getting caught up in, is that really serving that? Like that's the first thing. I'm not saying it's not. Like I said, I don't know the details, but I would challenge myself on that. Like, is that really serving? Now, if that's not, are you saying those things are not putting money in the bank? Those things are not putting money in the bank?
Yeah, I mean, for last 5-6 years, I mean, I've been a yoga teacher. I started in New York City, moved out to California, 20 classes a week, 4 to 5 clients, you know, just, and it doesn't, you know, it doesn't build me up, but I also can sustain, right? And then now I'm wanting to educate other teachers and have them build retreats and build client bases and things that I've been able to do to, you know, sort of start to scale up. And I want to deliver that to them, but then I also go to underserved places and I teach yoga and I don't make money, you know, and I offer things for free. And I know that that feels good and I know that I need that too. And then I start to like, well, should I learn about small business development? And should I do this? And should I do, and then I look up and the week's gone.
So I'll answer this question and then we'll go for a break. Like I said, without knowing all the details, but here's what I'm hearing. And maybe there's something in this for everybody, and maybe I'm right, it's just what I'm hearing. Is I don't think that you place a high enough value on yourself. That's what I'm really hearing. Like if
when you ask, I know, sort of like an idea in my head of what my time is worth, and then I immediately go, but you don't need to charge people
It's
that.
deeper than that, though. What I'm saying is deeper than that. It's deeper than beyond, all right, I'm going to charge $200 an hour, $500 an hour. It's like really knowing your fucking worth. Like, what are you really fucking here for, man?
Yeah, and I've had those clients, and my bank account felt good, and it felt good to be able to buy stuff. And then I was like, but the $200 an hour person, they have a private chef and shit. Like, they don't need me, That's not, like, my impact on the world, right? And now and then I teach teachers, I'm like, oh, that feels freaking good.
So can I ask you one question? Sorry to take us on a tangent. We're supposed to go on a break. Are you collaborating with other people as well?
Sure.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Let's talk after the break. We're going to go for a break.